My dear friends, I want you to listen with your whole heart, because this moment, this very moment, is not ordinary. This is a divine appointment. You didn't stumble across this message by accident. You didn't press play just because of curiosity. No, you are here because God ordained this very second in your life to remind you that He is not finished with you. He has not forgotten what was taken from you. He has not overlooked the tears you've cried in silence. God is preparing a miracle that will restore everything you lost and more. Some of you have been walking through seasons of drought, pain, and deep disappointment. You've suffered loss after loss, relationships shattered, finances destroyed, health weakened, peace stolen. You've looked around and said, God, where are you? Why is everything I built crumbling in my hands? But let me tell you something powerful. When God allows something to be taken, it's not because He's punishing you, it's because He's making room for something greater. God never subtracts without the intention to multiply. What feels like the end to you is the setup for a supernatural beginning. What looks like ruins in your eyes is the very ground God is going to use to build something magnificent. You see, God is not a man who forgets. He is not like the world that discards the broken. God remembers. He remembers every prayer you whispered at midnight. He remembers the times you gave when you barely had enough for yourself. He remembers how you stayed silent when you could have fought back. He remembers how you kept believing when everything around you told you to give up. God saw it all. And now, yes, now, He is moving. He is sending a miracle that will not only restore what you lost, but elevate you beyond what you could have imagined. You may feel buried under the weight of grief, betrayal, or shame, but I'm here to tell you, God never buries His chosen. He plants them. And anything God plants, He plans to harvest. You are not dead. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. Delay is not denial with God. Sometimes the waiting is the miracle in disguise, because in the waiting, God is shifting hearts, opening doors, softening enemies, and preparing blessings that would have crushed you if they came too soon. God knows exactly what He's doing. He doesn't guess, He doesn't hope. He speaks and it is so. And when He says He will restore what the enemy has taken, you better believe the enemy will have to release every stolen thing, every ounce of peace, every dream, every opportunity. God is bringing it back. But when He returns it, it won't be in the same form, it'll be greater. Because God doesn't just give back, He gives back with increase. When God restores, He leaves no room for doubt that it was Him who did it. There's some listening right now who have been betrayed by those closest to you. People you trusted turned their backs and walked away when you needed them the most. You've been left with broken pieces, wondering how to put your life together again. But listen closely. God is not going to restore your life through those who left you. He is going to raise you up in such a way that even those who betrayed you will have to admit that God's hand is on you. God will turn your betrayal into a testimony, your pain into power, your loss into legacy. Don't confuse silence with absence. Just because you don't see anything changing doesn't mean God is not working. A seed doesn't grow in the spotlight, it grows in the dark. When no one's watching, when no one's clapping, when everything seems still, that's when roots go deep. That's when God builds your foundation so strong that when the blessing finally bursts forth, it will not collapse under the weight of glory. God is training you in the shadows for a destiny that will shine in the light. Some of you have cried out, God, how much longer? You're tired, weary, at the edge of giving up. But I urge you, don't give up in the hallway just because the door hasn't opened yet. God is still the God of sudden moments. In the blink of an eye, everything can shift. He can send one phone call one connection, one breakthrough that will change the entire course of your life. And it won't be by your effort, it will be by His hand. And when He does it, no man can undo it, no devil can block it, no lie can reverse it, because when God releases, He releases with power. God is not intimidated by your mess. He is not afraid of what broke you. He is not disgusted by your weakness. In fact, He is closest when you feel the most unworthy. God is not looking for the strongest. He is looking for the surrendered. He's not waiting for perfection. He's waiting for trust. When you give God your broken pieces, He creates beauty no man can replicate. When you say, God, I can't do this anymore, that's when He says, now let me show you what I can do. Some of you need to stop trying to fix everything on your own. You've been exhausting your strength trying to make things happen. But the miracle God is preparing will not come through striving, it will come through surrender. When you step back and let God step in, that's when the impossible becomes possible. God never fails. He never lies. He never abandons. What He promised you will come to pass. Not because you deserve it, but because He is faithful. Even when you're not, He is. I want to speak directly to the person who lost something so dear it broke your soul. You've been asking, will I ever feel whole again? The answer is yes. Not because time heals all wounds, but because God does. God specializes in restoration, and He doesn't restore halfway. He restores fully, completely, and with purpose. You may have lost years, but God can redeem time. You may have lost relationships, but God can send people who honor and value you. You may have lost direction, but God can lead you into a path so divine, you'll forget the wilderness behind you. Hear me, this is not the end. This is not how your story finishes. God is the author, and He's still writing. Don't judge your future by the chapter you're in. What feels like a storm is actually God rearranging the pieces for a better tomorrow. The enemy may have meant it for evil, but God is about to flip the script. He's about to use your setback as a slingshot. The greater the resistance, the further the launch. What tried to destroy you is what God will use to promote you. Some people around you won't understand what's happening. That's okay. This miracle isn't for their validation, it's for your vindication. God is going to make it so evident, so undeniable, that even your doubters will have to admit it was His power that lifted you up. You won't need to prove yourself. God will speak for you through the miracle He performs in your life. And when it comes, give Him all the glory. Because no man will be able to say they made you who you are. Only God. You may have been overlooked, underestimated, even laughed at. But God saw you. He never took His eyes off you. He knew exactly what you could handle. He knew the storm wouldn't drown you. He knew the fire wouldn't consume you. He allowed it not to destroy you, but to refine you, and now you are stronger, wiser, ready. The miracle He is about to release will not just restore what you've lost, it will reward who you become. You had to go through the valley to carry the victory. With humility, sometimes God allows what we love to be taken so that we'll learn to love the giver more than the gift. But once our hearts are aligned with Him, not what He gives, but who He is, that's when the heavens open. That's when the miracle flows like a river. God is looking for hearts that trust Him, not just hands that want from Him. And when He finds that trust, miracles follow. Restoration follows. Glory follows. So I say to you with every ounce of boldness, get ready. Get ready for divine compensation. Get ready for unexpected favor. Get ready for tears of joy where there once were tears of sorrow. God is about to move. The loss was real, yes, but so is the restoration. And it is coming, not by force, not by luck, but by the mighty hand of God. Hold on. Stand firm. Keep believing. Because when God moves, He moves with such power that your past can no longer define you. Everything that was taken, the years, the laughter, the confidence, the dreams, the stability, it's all coming back, better, stronger, overflowing. God is not limited by your current situation. He is not bound by human timelines. He creates out of nothing. He restores out of ruins. He blesses out of brokenness. What you thought was over, God is just beginning. What you thought you lost forever, God is holding in His hand, ready to return in abundance. This is not a fantasy. This is not blind hope. This is the unshakable truth of who God is. If He did it before, He can do it again. If He opened the sea for others, He can make a way for you. If He gave life to the barren, He can bring life to your situation. Nothing is too hard for God. No loss is too great. No pain is too deep. When He speaks, everything changes. When He moves, mountains crumble. And when He restores, He does it with such perfection that your story becomes a sign for others. People will look at you and say, "How did you make it?" And you will say, "It was God." Not talent, not money, not connections. God. He picked you up from the ashes and crowned you with beauty. He saw value in you when others saw failure. He stayed when others walked out, and now He is bringing a miracle to restore it all. Because that's who He is. That's what He does. And He's doing it now, even as you listen, even as you weep, even as you hope again. God is releasing a miracle that restores all you lost. Let me tell you something, and I want you to let this truth burn into your soul. When everything in your life appears shattered, when every door seems closed, when everyone you trusted has turned their back on you, that is not the end. That is the moment when the power of God is closest. That is the moment when the winds of restoration begin to stir in the unseen. God does not need applause, attention, or approval to move. He works in silence. He moves in stillness. And when He rises up to restore, no force in this world or the next can block His hand. You must understand, restoration does not mean returning to how things were. Restoration by God means elevation. It means increase. It means the years the locusts have eaten will be repaid with abundance. It means the seasons of weeping will be exchanged for rivers of joy. God does not match what you lost. He surpasses it. Because His purpose for you was never tied to what left you. What was taken was not your foundation. It was only the scaffolding. What was broken was not the end. It was the preparation. There's a reason the storm did not kill you. There's a reason your heart, though cracked, still beats with hope. God is preserving you for something bigger than explanation. He is keeping you hidden for a reason. Because when He finally unveils what He has been shaping in the shadows, even those who mocked you will have to confess that it could only have been the work of God. He is the master of reversal. He turns ashes into purpose, isolation into elevation, delay into destiny. Do not despise your process. Do not curse the pain, because sometimes God allows the ground to be shaken, not to destroy you, but to uproot what was never meant to grow with you. Sometimes He tears away the fault so that He can plant what is true. Sometimes He allows your plans to fail so that His plans can flourish. You may have prayed for restoration to come a certain way, but God is not obligated to move according to your logic. He is not constrained by human reason. He works in divine wisdom that sees the end from the beginning. If you are still standing, it means God is not through with you. If you are still breathing, it means your story has not reached its highest point. You may have been bruised, but you are not broken. You may have been delayed, but you are not denied. The miracle is already in motion. Restoration is not something that will happen someday. It's something God is already weaving into the fibers of your life. Even the setbacks you thought were random are being used to build the stage for His glory to be revealed. There is power in trusting God when nothing makes sense. There is strength in praising Him when your hands are empty, because when God sees your faith in the middle of your lack, He unleashes His abundance. When He sees your loyalty in the face of loss, He opens the heavens. God is drawn to the humble heart. He is near to those who cry out to Him, not with complaints, but with surrender. When you say, God, not my way, but yours, that's when the miracle flows. That's when the tide turns. The truth is, many of the things you lost were never meant to stay. They were seasonal, not permanent. And God in His mercy allowed them to leave so you would not build your identity on sand. He is building something solid in your life, something that cannot be shaken by opinions, betrayed by people, or stolen by time. When God restores, He lays a foundation so strong that the enemy cannot uproot it. What He gives, no man can take. What He blesses, no curse can reverse. Some of you are still living in regret, clinging to the memories of what was. But hear me, God does not operate in the past. He operates in the present to prepare you for a greater future. Stop replaying the failures. Stop grieving what cannot be resurrected. Look forward. God is ahead of you, not behind you. He is not rehearsing your history. He is writing your destiny. And it is filled with light, purpose, and a restoration that will make your past seem like a shadow compared to what's coming. Let go of the idea that you missed your moment. With God, no moment is ever truly missed. He is the Redeemer of time. What others achieve in a decade, God can do for you in a day. One divine opportunity from Him can erase years of struggle. One encounter with His power can bring back what was lost with interest. He doesn't just restore, He compensates. And when He pays you back, it's not in the currency of man, it's in peace, favor, strength, and fulfillment. Now is the time to silence every voice of doubt that says it's too late. Now is the time to rebuke every lie that says you're too broken. Now is the time to rise with faith and declare, if God is for me, who can be against me? You are not a victim. You are not abandoned. You are not cursed. You are chosen. You are preserved. You are on the edge of a breakthrough so divine, you will look back on this season and thank God not just for the restoration, but for the stripping that made room for it. Your name is still on God's list. Your address is still in His mind. Your tears are still in His record. Not one of them has been wasted. He collects every sorrow and stores every cry, not to forget, but to repay. And His repayment comes when you least expect it. In the middle of the ordinary, the supernatural can break forth. In the place of pain, a door of glory can open. God's restoration is not limited by circumstances. He creates rivers and deserts. He brings harvests from barren places. The people who thought your story was over are about to witness a transformation they cannot explain. God is not just restoring what you lost. He's using your story as a sign to others. You're becoming the evidence that God restores, that He remembers, that He revives. And no one will be able to deny that it was His hand that did it. Because when God restores, He does it in a way that commands awe. That silences critics. That brings glory to no one but Himself. So don't stop believing, don't stop praying, don't stop trusting. The restoration is coming, the breakthrough is near. You may not see it yet, but it is forming, it is rising, it is being released. And when it arrives, it will be like a flood, sudden, powerful, undeniable. You will weep tears of joy. You will walk in places you once only dreamed of. You will carry peace that passes understanding. And all of it will come not because of anything you earned, but because of who God is. God is the restorer. God is the lifter. God is the healer. And He is getting ready to turn your sorrow into dancing, your mourning into celebration, your losses into testimony. Stand firm. Lift your head. The miracle is coming, and it carries the signature of God Almighty. Let the fire of truth burn in your spirit today, because this is not just another message. This is a divine summons, a holy reminder that God has not closed the book on your life, What the world labeled as over, God still calls unfinished. And let me tell you, when God speaks life into something that looks dead, it does not just survive, it thrives. That which was declared barren can suddenly produce abundance. That which was buried in sorrow can rise in strength. Because when God touches a situation, the natural gives way to the supernatural. There are seasons when God allows your strength to fail, not to shame you, but to teach you that restoration does not come through might nor through effort, but by His will alone. That moment when you fall to your knees, when you release the illusion of control, when you finally whisper, "God, I surrender," that is the moment heaven begins to move. That is the moment restoration begins. Not in the hands of men, but in the secret workings of God, who never sleeps, never forgets, and never loses a battle. Many people think restoration means getting back what you had. But God is not in the business of returning you to the past. He is in the business of transforming you for the future. The reason some things were stripped away was because they were not designed to go where He is taking you. You see, some of the losses you grieve were divine subtractions, surgically removed by God so that your spirit would not be contaminated by what was never pure in the first place. And though it hurt, though it left you questioning, it was still mercy. Because sometimes what we beg God to restore, He has already judged unworthy of our destiny. That is why God says, trust me in the dark. Trust me when the healing hasn't come. Trust me when the doors are still closed, because your current silence is not the absence of God, it's the presence of preparation. The blessing must be built in a secret place. Restoration must be forged in the fire of faith. And if you faint not, if you keep standing, even with trembling knees, God will reveal in time what He has been working on behind the veil. There are things happening right now in your life that make no sense to your natural mind. You feel like the wind is against you. You feel like everything you try falls apart. But listen, resistance is not rejection. Pressure is not punishment. God is allowing the pressing because what He's birthing from your life is sacred. Olive oil only flows when the olive is crushed. Fragrance only arises when the incense is burned. And true strength only rises when the soul has learned to trust God in the unseen. God is not interested in patchwork solutions. He doesn't bandage wounds. He heals them from the inside out. And when He heals, He leaves no scar that controls you. He removes the sting of the past. He wipes the slate clean, not to forget your story, but to give you the authority to stand on it. Because what tried to destroy you will become the very platform God uses to elevate you. What tried to silence you will become the very melody God uses to speak through you. This is restoration with purpose, not just for comfort, but for calling. There is a restoration that carries weight, not the weight of sorrow, but the weight of glory. And when God places this upon your life, you begin to walk differently. You begin to speak with authority. You begin to discern what is meant for you and what is a distraction. Because now you have walked through fire and survived. Now you have been emptied of self and filled with a greater strength. And that strength does not come from books or from people. It comes from time spent in the presence of God, from battles fought in silence, from surrender offered with tears, from nights of wrestling and mornings of renewed hope. Some of you think it's too late. You believe your age, your past, your mistakes have disqualified you from the promise. But hear this. God's timeline is not dictated by the calendar of men. He can do in one day what would take man a lifetime. He can raise the overlooked, the outcast, the forgotten, and place them in positions of influence for His glory. Time does not limit God. Delay does not frustrate Him. He is the redeemer of wasted years, the restorer of stolen days. Nothing is lost when it is placed in the hands of God. The moment you release your brokenness, He begins the work. But it is not always immediate, and it is not always visible. It often begins in your spirit, in a place no one sees, in your quiet decisions to keep trusting, in your silent acts of obedience when no one is watching. God sees it all, and He responds, not just to what you say, but to how you endure. Every step of faith, every act of humility, every word of gratitude, and in His perfect timing, He rewards it. He is building something eternal in you. Not temporary satisfaction, but eternal weight. Not fleeting victories, but lasting transformation. And that transformation is worth every tear, every loss, every lonely night. Because when the restoration comes, you will not only be healed, you will be whole. You will not only be comforted, you will be commissioned. Your scars will speak not of pain, but of power. Your story will carry weight, not because of what you endured, but because of who brought you through it. Let no voice convince you that God has forgotten. Let no whisper of the enemy make you believe that your time is over. God does not forget His promises. He does not retract His purpose. What He began, He will complete. What He spoke, He will fulfill. And though it may tarry, wait for it. For it shall surely come, and it will not delay. And when it comes, you will know it was God, because no one else could have written such a redemption story. No one else could have restored so completely, so perfectly, and so divinely. So lift your head, straighten your spine, wipe your tears, and prepare your heart, because God is not only going to restore what you lost, He's going to exceed what you imagined. The storm you endured was not to drown you, but to deepen you. The loss you grieved was not the end, but the clearing of ground for new growth. You are not behind schedule. You are exactly where God needs you to be for His miracle to unfold. He will restore. He is restoring. And when He does, the world will see and know it was God and God alone. Listen closely, because what you're about to receive is not just encouragement. It is divine truth wrapped in fire. God is not in the business of recycling your past. He is in the business of redeeming your future. Restoration is not about getting back what you lost in the same form. It is about walking into something that proves you never truly lost. You were being repositioned. God is not trying to give you back a broken version of yesterday. He is pulling you into a future so complete, so fulfilling, that the pain of the past will no longer hold power over your mind, your heart, or your destiny. And let me tell you this, when God restores, He doesn't seek your enemy's permission. He doesn't consult your past failures. He doesn't ask the doubters for their opinion. No. When God decides to move in your life, He does it in such a way that it silences every voice that ever spoke against you. That's the kind of restoration He brings. Not quiet, not timid, not halfway, but bold, undeniable, and overflowing. God does not need to be subtle when He chooses to vindicate the faithful. You may have walked through seasons where it seemed like the heavens were closed. Prayers felt like echoes in an empty room. You fasted, you waited, you cried, and still nothing changed. But listen to this truth. Delay is never denial when you're in God's hands. God was never ignoring you. He was guarding you. He was arranging things that your human eyes could not perceive. He was closing doors that looked like blessings but were actually traps. And He was removing people who smiled in your face but would have betrayed you on the mountaintop. His silence was not absence, it was protection. And now God is beginning to shift. The ground beneath your spirit is moving. You feel it. Something is stirring. Something is awakening. The time of pruning is giving way to the time of planting. The time of refining is making room for the time of reigning. God has watched you hold on when everything around you said let go. He has watched you believe when the facts said give up. And now His reward is coming, not because you were strong, but because you remained surrendered. This restoration will not just be for your benefit, it will be for the glory of God. It will not be about applause, fame, or recognition. It will be about showing the world that when God steps into a broken life, He doesn't just fix it, He redefines it. You will walk through doors you never knocked on. You will sit at tables you never expected to be invited to. You will hold blessings you didn't chase because they were chasing you all along. That's the power of God. He aligns the right place, the right time, and the right purpose to converge in divine harmony. And let us not mistake restoration for comfort alone. Sometimes God's greatest restoration comes with a call to responsibility. He restores not just to bless you, but to prepare you to bless others. He lifts you so you can lift the broken. He heals you so you can be the voice for the voiceless. Restoration with God always carries a mantle. It's not just for your survival, it's for your assignment. You're not just getting back what was lost. You're being prepared to carry what others cannot. You see, pain has a way of purifying the soul. It reveals what matters. It exposes what was false. And when you've been through the fire with God by your side, you come out with discernment that no textbook can teach. That's why some of you had to walk alone. That's why you had to lose what you thought you couldn't live without. God wasn't punishing you. He was pruning you, stripping away the noise so you could finally hear His voice clearly. And now that you've heard it, nothing will ever be the same. Don't miss this. What you thought was a breakdown was actually a breakthrough in disguise. God often breaks the shell so that what's within can grow. Your tears were not wasted. They watered the soil of your future. Your loneliness was not abandonment. It was sacred isolation for divine instruction. Your loss was not the end. It was the space God needed to show you that He alone is enough. And when you realize that God is your portion, then nothing else can ever truly be taken from you. Restoration is coming, and it's coming with divine force. It's not going to be subtle. It's going to be overwhelming. You will feel the shift in the atmosphere. Doors will open not by strategy, but by favor. Hearts will turn in your direction, not because of charisma, but because of divine alignment. And the peace that passes all understanding will become your portion, not because the storm disappeared, but because you now know who commands. God is the one who can resurrect what men have declared dead. He is the one who brings order to chaos, clarity to confusion, healing to devastation. He doesn't work according to man's logic. He works according to His own eternal design. So stop trying to predict how the restoration will come. Stop trying to package it in your expectations. Let go. Release your need to control, because when God restores, it never looks like what you imagined. It looks better. It feels deeper. It lasts longer. It satisfies more fully. You will walk into rooms where you once felt small, and this time you will walk with your head held high, not with pride, but with holy confidence. You will return to places that once rejected you, and now they will have to make room for the blessing you carry. You will speak words that carry weight, because they have been forged in the fire of affliction and purified by the presence of God. Your restoration is not just external, it is internal. So let the world watch. Let the doubters talk. Let the storms rage, because the one who created heaven and earth is not shaken. He is not overwhelmed. He is not late. He is preparing the table, arranging the season, and aligning the hour. And when He says now, nothing can stop what He has destined. This is not just about recovery, it is about redemption. This is not just a comeback, it is a divine unveiling of what has been hidden for such a time as this. And you, yes, you are part of that unveiling. You are not here by accident. You are not listening by coincidence. This is your confirmation. This is your call to stand, to believe again, to hope again. Because God is releasing a miracle that will not just restore what was taken, it will establish what was promised. And when it comes, it will be undeniable that it was done by God and God alone. You who have been crushed by life's heavy hand, who have watched dreams collapse and relationships disintegrate, you who have stared into the darkness of despair and wondered if the light would ever return, listen and believe this truth. God is not only aware of your pain, He has already designed your healing. He has already written the day and the hour of your restoration. What seems delayed to man is always on time with God. His power is not rushed, and His plan is never disordered. What He is preparing for you requires a foundation deeper than emotions and stronger than circumstances. It requires a soul that trusts Him when all else fades. God restores not according to human timelines, but according to divine preparation. And the waiting, the waiting is not wasted time. It is sacred ground. It is the place where pride dies and surrender is born. It is where strength is refined and trust becomes more than a word. It becomes a posture, a lifestyle, a declaration of unwavering belief. When you wait on God, you are not standing still. You are being strengthened. You are being seasoned. You are being sculpted into someone who can carry the very thing you've been praying for. Many ask, why must the pain come before the promise? Because true restoration must begin within. If God gave you everything you lost before your heart was prepared, you would mishandle the blessing. But God is too wise to waste glory on unprepared hands. So He uses the pain to purify. He uses the silence to sharpen. He uses the fire to remove the excess that cannot go with you into your next season. The greater the calling, the deeper the refinement, and what you've been walking through is not punishment, it's preparation. Let me tell you something sacred. God doesn't just restore what you lost. He restores what was never allowed to grow. There are things in you, gifts, strength, vision, that were buried under fear, buried under rejection, buried under lies that others told you about yourself. But when God begins His restoration, He doesn't just look at the surface. He goes deep into your identity. He reminds you of who you are in His sight, not who people said you were, not what failure tried to label you, but who He formed you to be from the beginning. And when God restores identity, no one can distort it again. And understand this, the miracle you've been waiting for may not look like what you imagined, but it will feel like peace. It will feel like freedom. It will feel like purpose rising where confusion once lived. Because God does not restore things just for your comfort. He restores for alignment. He brings things back into your life because now you're ready to receive them in the right posture, in the right mindset, with the right priorities. When God restores, He doesn't just give back, He makes new. He revives the soul, not just the situation. You may be in a place right now where everything feels unstable. You feel the tension between faith and frustration. You pray, yet problems persist. You believe, yet battles continue. But let me tell you what the storm doesn't want you to know. God is in control even when it feels like chaos. And His restoration often comes when the winds are still blowing. He doesn't wait for the waters to settle. He speaks in the midst of the storm, and when He speaks, even the chaos must obey. Let those around you doubt. Let them question your faith. Let them whisper, "Where is their God now?" Because soon, very soon, God will answer not with words, but with wonders. He will place in your hands what no man could fabricate. He will open doors that no influence could unlock. He will raise you up in a way that makes it clear this was not luck, this was not coincidence, this was divine intervention. Restoration, by the hand of God, bears a signature no one else can counterfeit. God is raising up people in this hour who are not seeking spotlight, who are not chasing validation, but who are hungry for purpose, rooted in obedience and refined by affliction. These are the ones He is restoring, not to return to the past, but to build what eyes have not yet seen. You may feel disqualified because of your past, but God does not choose the qualified. He qualifies those He chooses. And if God has chosen to restore you, no one can cancel what He has called. So take courage, not because the battle is easy, but because the one who fights for you has never lost. Take heart, not because the pain has vanished, but because the purpose behind it is now being revealed. And as the dawn breaks, as the new season arrives, you will look back not with regret, but with reverence, because you will understand that the crushing produced oil, the weeping produced wisdom, the loss produced a longing for God that the blessing alone could never satisfy. You are not empty, you are being filled. You are not forgotten, you are being remembered in the courts of heaven. The pages of your life are not blank, they are being inscribed with victory, page by page, line by line. And when the story unfolds, it will be clear. It was not your strength that brought you through. It was the mercy of God, the will of God, the love of God that refused to let go of you even when you felt unworthy. Hold fast to this truth. What God has promised, He will perform. What He has spoken, He will bring to pass. The miracle is not coming, it is already forming. The breakthrough is not distant, it is drawing near. The restoration is not a possibility, it is a certainty for those who remain planted in faith. You have cried, you have endured, you have held on through storm and silence. Now prepare your heart, prepare your mind, prepare your spirit, because when God restores, it comes suddenly, it comes completely, and it comes with glory that belongs to Him alone. So now stand still for a moment, not with your feet, but with your soul. Let every noise fade, let every distraction lose its grip. Listen not with the ears of flesh, but with the ears of the heart, for the voice of God is calling. Not with thunder, but with truth. Not with pressure, but with presence. He is reaching for you in this very moment. Not because you are perfect, but because you are chosen to rise from the ashes of what was and step into the fullness of what can be. This is the moment where your faith becomes your foundation and your surrender becomes your strength. It is time to strip away the excuses, to let go of the weight that has burdened your soul for far too long. Let go of bitterness, of fear, of false security. Let go of the shame that tells you you're too far gone. God is not counting your failures. He is measuring your willingness to return. And if your heart still beats with the desire to be whole, then restoration is already in motion. The path is not easy, but it is holy. The cost is not small, but the reward is eternal. And it begins the moment you say from the depths of your soul, God, I am yours, lead me. Let your life become an altar. Let your thoughts become a prayer. Let your days be lived as worship, not in word alone, but in obedience, in humility, in faithfulness when no one sees. Because the greatest miracles are not always loud. Sometimes they are quiet. Sometimes they are the peace that steadies your soul. Sometimes they are the strength to keep going when everything in you wants to stop. Sometimes they are the courage to forgive, to begin again, to believe that God is still writing your story with mercy in every line. So I ask you, will you rise from the place of your pain, not in your own strength, but in the power that comes from trusting God completely? Will you walk away from the identity that the world has forced on you and step into the identity God whispered over you before the foundation of the world? Will you burn the bridges to your doubts and build altars of devotion with every breath, every choice, every step? This is not just about what God will restore, it is about who you will become as He does. May your life be the echo of truth in a world full of compromise. May your hands carry healing where there was once harm. May your eyes stay fixed not on what is seen, but on what is eternal. And when the world pulls you in every direction, may you anchor your soul in the one direction that never changes, toward God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul. Because when all is said and done, when every voice fades, when every possession passes, when every season ends, God remains, and to have Him is to have everything. Now go forth, not as someone who is waiting to be rescued, but as someone who has already been called to rise. Go with fire in your soul, clarity in your mind, and devotion in your spirit. Let the world see, not just by your words, but by your unwavering stance, that you serve a living, powerful, and merciful God, and may your life declare one message, louder than fear, louder than doubt, louder than the noise of the world, that God is enough, God is faithful, and God restores all. Let that truth be your light, your armor, and your everlasting song